All right, today we've got a great story for you. It's an old Welsh myth full of magic, mystery, and some, very creative thieves. Let's just jump right in. This is Cats and Robbers. So picture this. Deep in a misty Welsh forest, right at a crossroads, there's this cozy little inn. It's called the Cat's Paw. And it's exactly the kind of place you'd want to find after a long journey, you know? You can see the warm firelight in the windows, smoke curling up from the chimney, and the smell. Oh, the smell. A little bit of herbs from a garden, but mostly a delicious, mouth-watering smell of roasting chicken. But here's the thing. This wonderful, cozy little inn had a huge problem. Guests kept waking up to find they'd been robbed in the middle of the night. And what's really strange is how it was happening. The owners, who were a pair of twin sisters, did everything they could. They changed the locks, they barred the windows, nothing worked. The sheriff even got involved. He cleared the sisters by locking them in a wagon one night, just to prove it wasn't them. And still, the robberies went on. So, with no other explanation, you know what happens? People started whispering. Whispers about ghosts and about magic. Well, those whispers of magic, they traveled, and they reached the ears of a young man with a short red beard who immediately headed for the Cat's Paw Inn. His name was Hugh, and Hugh wasn't your average traveler. Nope, he was a wizard. And solving mysteries just like this one, that was his specialty. See, there was something special about Hugh. He was a seventh son of a seventh son, which in this world means you're just born with a natural kind of magic. He was really good at what he did, but he was also a genuinely kind person who used his abilities to help people out. So a weird case like the Cat's Paw Inn, yeah, that was right up his alley. So when Hugh finally gets there, that smell of dinner is just incredible. Definitely chicken, roasted with turnips, thyme, and is that rosemary? He steps inside and meets the owners, the two twin sisters, Katron and Kathy. And just so you know, Kathy would be the first to tell you that she was the prettier of the two. Hugh works out a quick deal. He gives them one single king's coin, and for that, he gets a bed for the night and a big bowl of that amazing chicken. And as he's paying, all the other coins in his purse make this lovely musical jingle, a sound that, let's just say, did not go unnoticed by everyone in the room. So, while he's eating this delicious dinner, Hugh is just watching. He's scoping out the other guests. You've got a couple of soldiers over there, an old woman sipping tea, some trappers just in from the woods. But the more he watches, the more he realizes none of them look like thieves. And more importantly, not a single one of them has that little shimmer of magic he can usually spot. That's when it hits him. The answer isn't in this room. The thief is someone else. Okay, so if he's gonna catch this thief, Hugh knows he needs some bait. And, well, the best bait he's got is himself and his money. So he makes a bit of a show. He stands up, making sure his full purse jingles nice and loud. Then he accidentally drops a few coins on the floor, and as he bends down to pick them up, he makes absolutely sure everyone in the room gets a good look at just how much gold he's carrying. And to really sell it, he walks over to Katron at the bar. He asks for a bit of water, and then, kind of leaning in, he asks her about those rumors. You know, the ones about people getting robbed. Well, Katron's friendly smile just evaporates. Her lip curls back, and she practically hisses at him, denying everything and saying it's all just lies from jealous locals. All right, so hours later, Hugh is up in his room. The door, locked and barred. The window shutters, locked up tight. He's lying in bed, even making these little soft snoring sounds. But he is wide awake. He's just pretending, peeking through his eyelashes, and his eyes are glued to the one spot he thinks the thief might try to use to get in. And sure enough, it doesn't take long. He hears it. A faint, gentle, scraping sound coming from the chimney. The trap was set, and something was about to walk right into it. And then, quiet as a couple of shadows, two dark figures just drop down into the fireplace and slink out into the room. And there, cats. Two small, smoky gray cats. They looked almost identical, but one of them had just a little hint of silver fur right around its mouth. And just like that, Hugh knew his suspicions were dead on. Hugh just lies there, watching through his eyelashes, totally amazed at how professional they are. One of the cats actually hops up on the bed, and its whiskers tickle his cheek, just to double-check that he's really out.
Once it's sure, it hops back down. Together, they knock his bag off its hook, and then, get this, they use their teeth and claws to undo the straps, like they've done it 100 times. They pull out that heavy coin purse, and then, using just their mouths, they manage to untie the knot, spilling all that gold onto the floor.
Okay, Hugh's seen enough. He knows what he needs to know. So he just shifts a little in the bed, makes a little noise like he's waking up, and the second he does, those cats grab the purse and poof, they are gone. Right back up the chimney. Yep. He knew exactly what was happening now.
So the next morning, Hugh just goes down to the common room and waits. After a little while, the sisters come out, and they look pretty tired. But Hugh spots something really odd. As they're carrying out this big pot of porridge, they're both wearing these huge, clumsy oven mitts. Hugh doesn't beat around the bush. He walks right up and asks if they're tired after, robbing him last night. They try to laugh it off, of course, but then Hugh's fingertips start to glow with a soft light. He looks them dead in the eye and says, "I know shapeshifters when I see them." They still refuse to take off the gloves. So Hugh just kind of shrugs, and with a little wave of his hand, the oven mitts just burst into flames. Well, they started yowling and shaking the burning gloves off as fast as they could. And there it was, the proof. Instead of human hands, they had these little singed cat paws. Hugh then explained what he'd done. He'd put a little enchantment on his coins, so when they stole them, the magic trapped their hands in the very form they used to do the stealing. Oh, the bargaining started immediately. They swore up and down they would never, ever rob anyone again. Kathy was practically wailing, "I can't even hold a spoon for pudding." Hugh agreed to fix it, but he gave them a pretty serious warning. He said if he ever heard about any more trouble, all he had to do was snap his fingers, and they'd be, as he put it, back on the kitty committee. And with that little warning, Hugh just smiled and snapped his fingers. There were 2 quick flashes of flame, and just like that, the sisters' hands were back to normal. And you know what? From that day on, the robberies at the Cat's Paw Inn stopped. Completely. The sisters absolutely kept their promise. In fact, the 3 of them became really good friends. Hugh would make a point to stop by whenever he was in the area, and over a nice plate of roasted chicken, he'd even teach them a little bit of proper magic, the kind you don't use to steal from your guests. The inn was safe, and a very strange, very magical friendship had just begun.